In a quiet neighborhood where everyone knew each other, lived a young woman named Warda Adele. She came from a good family, a family known for its values and its respect in the community. Warda was seen as a bright light, full of potential and hope. She carried herself with a gentle grace that made her parents proud. They saw a future for her filled with happiness, a good marriage, and the kind of life they had always wished for their daughter. Her path seemed so clear, so simple, so full of promise, but inside Warda carried a heart that dreamed of something more, something bigger, a love story like the ones she read about. She wanted a love that was grand and passionate. This deep yearning for a fairy tale romance led her straight to Mohammed. He was charismatic, charming, and he said all the right things. He painted a picture of a future that felt magical, a world where it was just the two of them against everything. Warda fell for him, and she fell hard. She believed every word he said, every promise he whispered. In her eyes, he was the hero of her story, the one she had been waiting for. This was the love she had dreamed of, and she held on to it with every piece of her being, convinced that their connection was destined, that it was true love. The relationship, however, was wrapped in secrecy. Mohammed never made their love public. He never took the steps to make it official, to meet her family, to declare his intentions honorably. He kept her hidden away, a secret part of his life. He told her they needed more time, that he was getting things ready for their future. Warda, blinded by her affection, accepted his excuses. She lived on his words, on the hope he fed her day after day. She believed that one day he would step out of the shadows and claim her as his own, proving to the world that their love was real and strong. But hope can be a dangerous thing when it is built on a foundation of false promises. Mohammed was leading her on, enjoying her attention and affection without any real plan to commit. He knew what she wanted to hear, and he said it beautifully. He made her feel like she was the only one in the world for him, all while keeping his distance. For Warda, this secret love story was everything. She protected it, she nurtured it, and she waited patiently for the day it would finally become her reality. Little did she know, she was investing her heart in a dream that was never meant to come true. Just as Warda was lost in her world of secret hopes with Mohammed, another man entered her life. His name was Ahmed. He was everything Mohammed was not. Ahmed was respectful, stable, and serious about his intentions from the very beginning. He didn't hide his admiration for Warda. He came to her family the proper way, showing his respect for them and for her. He offered her a life of security, of honor, and of public commitment. He was, by all accounts, a good man, the kind of man her parents had always hoped she would marry. He saw a future with her and was ready to build it right away. Warda found herself standing at a crossroads. On one side was Mohammed, the passionate, secret love of her life, the man who held her heart but offered no certainty. On the other side was Ahmed, the kind and honorable suitor who offered her everything a woman is supposed to want, a home, a family, and respect. The pressure began to mount. Her family saw Ahmed as the perfect match and encouraged her to accept his proposal. They couldn't understand her hesitation. Warda was torn between the dream she was clinging to and the reality that was being offered to her. It was a choice between a risky, uncertain passion and a safe, secure future. With her family's encouragement ringing in her ears, Warda decided she needed an answer from Mohammed. She needed to know if their secret love had a future. She went to him, her heart full of hope and fear, and laid everything on the table. She told him about Ahmed's proposal and asked him finally to make a commitment. This was the moment of truth, the moment she had been waiting for. She believed that faced with losing her, he would finally step up. She hoped he would tell her to refuse Ahmed, to wait for him, to choose their love above all else. But Mohammed's reaction was not what she had dreamed of. It was cold, it was distant. There was no grand declaration of love, no desperate plea for her to stay. Instead, he simply told her that he was not ready, he could not marry her. He shattered her world with just a few simple words. The man she had given her heart to, the man she had built her future around in her mind, rejected her completely. The heartbreak was immense, a physical pain that consumed her. In that moment, the beautiful dream she had clung to for so long dissolved into a painful, devastating nightmare. With her heart in pieces, Warda made a decision. She felt she had no other choice. She said yes to Ahmed. She agreed to marry the good, kind man who had offered her a stable life. Her family was overjoyed, and the wedding preparations began. On the outside, Warda played the part of the happy bride-to-be. She smiled, she tried on dresses, and she went through the motions. But inside she was a ghost. She was marrying one man, while her heart was still bleeding for another. She was walking into a new life, but she was bringing the baggage of her old one with her. The wedding was beautiful, and Warda became Ahmed's wife. He was a good husband, just as everyone knew he would be. He treated her with kindness and respect. He gave her a comfortable home and provided for her every need. He tried to make her happy, completely unaware of the secret she carried deep inside her. Ahmed believed he was building a life with a woman who had chosen him, a woman who loved him. He had no idea that his wife's heart belonged to someone else, that her smiles were hiding a deep and profound sadness, a longing for a love she had lost. Even in her new life, Warda could not let go of Mohammed. The connection, though broken, still had a hold on her. She found a way to stay in contact with him, keeping the lines of communication open. A secret text message here, a hidden phone call there. She was living a double life. To her husband she was a devoted wife, but in the shadows she was still entangled with the man who had rejected her. She was betraying the trust of the man who had given her everything, all for the sake of a connection that had already brought her so much pain. This secret communication reignited the old flame. Mohammed, seeing that she was still attached to him, began to pull her back in. The conversations became more frequent, more intense. He started talking to her again with that old charm, reminding her of the passion they once shared. Warda, still vulnerable and heartbroken, fell right back into the trap. She allowed him to fill her head with his words once more. She was married, but she was not free. Her marriage to Ahmed was not a new beginning. It was just a cover for the toxic secret affair she refused to end. The secret conversations between Warda and Mohammed took a dark and sinister turn. They were no longer just about lost love or secret passion. A twisted idea began to form. They started to see Ahmed not as a kind husband or an innocent man, but as an obstacle. He was the only thing standing in the way of them being together. Mohammed, with his poisonous words, convinced Warda that the only way for them to have their future was to get rid of Ahmed permanently. The thought was horrifying, but in her twisted state of mind it started to sound like a solution. Together they began to plan a murder. It was a cold and calculated plot born from betrayal and selfishness. They discussed the details in their secret phone calls, figuring out how they could do it and get away with it. They decided to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. This, they believed, would keep the police from suspecting them. Warda, the grieving widow, would be above suspicion, and Mohammed, the secret lover, would be completely invisible. They were so consumed by their selfish desires that they convinced themselves this terrible plan was their only way out. The night of the murder arrived. Following their plan, Mohammed came to the apartment Warda shared with her husband. Warda let him in. They waited for Ahmed to fall asleep, and then they carried out their horrific act. They murdered an innocent man in his own home, in his own bed. After it was done, they tried to set the scene. They scattered a few things around the apartment to make it look like a struggle had occurred during a robbery. They thought they had covered all their tracks, that their story would be believable. Warda then played her part. She started screaming, crying for help, and telling the neighbors that thieves had broken in, attacked her husband, and fled. When the police arrived, she told them the same story. She was the picture of a devastated, grieving widow. She recounted the tale of the violent robbery, hoping her performance was convincing enough to fool everyone. She thought she had committed the perfect crime. She believed that she and Mohammed would soon be free to be together, with Ahmed's memory being nothing more than a tragic story. But the truth has a way of coming to light, especially when investigators start asking questions. The police listened to Warda's story about the robbery, but things didn't add up. There were inconsistencies in her account. The crime scene didn't look quite right for a random break-in. Experienced detectives have a sense for when a story feels wrong, and Warda's story felt very wrong. They began to dig deeper, looking into her life, her phone records, and her relationships. They knew there was more to this than a simple robbery. They were determined to find out what really happened to Ahmed. The investigation quickly zeroed in on the phone records, and there it was, plain as day. A long history of secret calls and messages between Warda and one man, Mohammed. This discovery blew the case wide open. Why would a happily married woman be in constant secret contact with another man? The police brought both Warda and Mohammed in for questioning separately. Faced with the evidence of their secret communication, their carefully constructed story began to crumble. Under the pressure of interrogation, the lies fell apart, and the truth, in all its ugliness, finally emerged. Both Warda and Mohammed confessed to the entire plot. They admitted to their affair, their plan to murder Ahmed, and how they carried it out. The story of the fake robbery was exposed as a lie, and their crime was laid bare for all to see. They were arrested and faced the full consequences of their actions. The legal system delivered its verdict, and they were sentenced for the brutal murder they had committed. Their dream of being together was replaced with the harsh reality of prison walls. They had destroyed not only Ahmed's life, but their own as well. This tragic story leaves us with a powerful and painful lesson. It shows how one bad choice can lead to another, creating a downward spiral that ends in ruin. Warda had a choice. She could have chosen the path of honesty and dignity. She could have ended her marriage honorably if she was unhappy. Instead, she chose deception, betrayal, and violence. This story is a reminder that every choice matters. It teaches us that chasing a toxic, selfish desire over what is right can destroy lives. True strength lies in facing the truth, even when it's hard, and choosing the path of integrity, not the path of destruction.